Most people walk into a room and notice furniture, noise, conversations, maybe the temperature. An empath walks into a room and feels tension before a single word is spoken. That's the difference. And if you've lived this way your entire life, you already know how strange it feels. Because nobody teaches you how to explain something invisible. You just grow up believing you're too sensitive. Most people
when in
reality,
your
nervous
furniture
is processing
faces
movement. A highly aware
at a
empath
level
enters a
most
room
people
and notices
never
tension.
notice.
Not
This
with
is one of
logic,
the weirdest
not with
things
evidence,
genuine empaths
with
do.
instinct. They absorb
feel the
emotional
energy
atmosphere
automatically,
before
not
anyone
intentionally.
says a single
Not
word.
dramatically,
That's because
automatically.
highly
An
aware
empath
empaths
can sit
are
next to
constantly
someone smiling
scanning
and
still
human
feel
behavior
sadness
beneath the
radiating
surface
underneath
level.
them.
While
They
most
can
people
sense
are distracted
anger
by
hidden
appearances,
behind politeness.
empaths
They can notice
feel
emotional
emotional
discomfort
inconsistencies.
even when
Someone
everyone
smiles
else
too
in the
quickly,
room believes
someone
things
laughs
are
at the
completely
wrong
normal.
moment,
And
someone
over time,
says,
this
"Everything's
becomes
fine,"
exhausting
while their shoulders
because the
collapse
empath
inward.
isn't just
Most people
observing
ignore these
emotions.
signals.
They're
Empaths
carrying
don't.
them.
Because
Most
human
people
beings
can leave
reveal
work
themselves
stress at
emotionally,
work.
long
Empaths bring
before
the
they
emotional
reveal themselves
atmosphere home
verbally.
with them.
Highly
Most
aware
people
recover
empaths
after
understand
conflict ends.
something dangerous.
Empaths words
Replay
are control
the emotional
energy
long
usually
after the
isn't.
moment is over.
And this ability
here's
changes
what makes the
this
way
even
they
stranger.
experience life.
Many
When an
empaths
empath
absorb
talks to
emotions
someone
so
manipulative
deeply
that they
they
start
often feel
confusing
exhausted
other people's
before they
feelings with
understand
their own.
why.
They
Their
suddenly
nervous
feel
system
anxious
notices the
around
mismatch
anxious
between the
people,
person's
heavy
words
around
and emotional
depressed people,
intent.
The
Angry
person
around
sounds kind,
emotionally unstable
but feels
people,
aggressive,
and
sounds
because they
supportive,
absorb
but feels
emotional
jealous,
states
sounds
unconsciously,
calm,
they
but
often
feels
don't
emotionally
realize
chaotic.
the feeling wasn't
This
originally
creates
theirs.
confusion
This is
early
why
in life
genuine
for many
empaths
empaths
disappear
because
sometimes.
society
Not because
trains people
they hate
to trust
people,
spoken
because
language more than
constant
internal
emotional
perception.
absorption
So the
overloads
empath
the nervous
ignores their
system.
instincts.
Imagine
Again
carrying
and again
invisible
and again,
emotional weight
until
every
betrayal
day teaches
while
them
pretending
the truth.
you're
The truth
fine.
is this:
That's how many
your
empaths
nervous system
live.
notices
Their brain is
danger
continuously
before your mind
scanning
explains
facial
it.
expressions,
Highly
tone
aware
shifts,
empaths
body
begin
language,
understanding
eye movement,
that intuition
emotional
is often pattern
inconsistencies,
recognition,
all without
happening
rest.
below
And the
conscious
dangerous
awareness.
part is
They
this:
notice
most
tiny facial
empaths
expressions,
become emotional
changes
caretakers
in breathing
before they
voice
ever
tension,
learn emotional
forced
boundaries.
enthusiasm.
So they
Artificial
spend years
confidence,
absorbing
not
pain
because
they were
they're
never meant to
paranoid,
carry,
because
they
their
become
awareness
therapists
never
for
fully
broken
turns
people.
off.
Targets
This is also
for
why
narcissists
empaths become mentally
safe places
exhausted
for emotionally
around
chaotic,
emotionally
dishonest
dishonest
people,
because their
toxic
brain is
people are naturally
constantly trying to
attracted
resolve
to emotionally
contradictions
available
between
people.
appearance
And
and
empaths
reality.
often
And over
mistake
time,
emotional
they
exhaustion
stop
for
enjoying
love.
superficial
That's why
interactions.
genuine empaths
Small
sometimes
talk
isolate
drains
themselves
them.
completely.
Fake politeness drains
Silence
them.
becomes
Performative
survival.
personalities
Distance becomes
drain them.
recovery.
Because
Solitude
highly
becomes
aware
emotional
empaths
detox.
crave
People call
emotional
them
congruence.
antisocial.
They want,
but the
people
truth is much
whose
deeper.
energy matches
the
their
empath
words.
isn't
And when they
avoiding
finally
people.
meet
They're trying to hear their own
they
emotions
feel it
again
immediately
because
after
their body
enough
relaxes,
emotional overload,
their guard
an empath
lowers,
stops
their mind
recognizing
becomes
where
quiet.
other people
That's
end
the difference.
and where
Most
they begin.
people listen to
And
communication.
eventually,
They learn the
empaths
lesson
feel
that changes
communication.
everything.
But this awareness
Sensitivity
comes
without
with
boundaries
consequences.
becomes
Many highly aware
self-destruction.
empaths
A genuine
spend years
empath
feeling
does not
misunderstood
become
because
powerful
they can
when they
sense
learn
things
to absorb
they
more
cannot
pain.
logically
They
prove.
become
They know
powerful
when something
when
feels
they learn
wrong
what
long
pain
before evidence
no longer
appears.
deserves
And
access to them.
unfortunately, that's
People
the
often
transformation
dismiss
the
what
moment
they
an
cannot
empath
measure.
realizes.
So I can care
Empaths
about
begin
people
doubting
without
themselves
carrying them.
until life
And once that
repeatedly
happens,
confirms
their entire
their
energy
instincts were
changes.
accurate
They
all
stop
along.
chasing
That's when the
emotionally
transformation
draining
begins.
relationships.
They
The
stop
empath
explaining
stops
their
ignoring
intuition.
discomfort,
They stops
ignoring
overriding
red flags
intuition
to keep
stops
peace,
explaining
because
away emotional
mature
red
empaths
flags, and suddenly
eventually
their
understand
entire
something
life changes.
most people
because
never
awareness
will.
is not
Protecting
just
your
seeing
nervous
others
system
clearly.
is
It's
not
finally
selfish, it's
trusting
survival.
yourself
Most
clearly.
people think
Highly
empaths
aware
are weird
empaths
because of
are
their
not
behavior,
too sensitive.
but what they
Most
don't
of the time,
understand
they're
is
simply
this:
detecting
those strange
emotional
behaviors were
information
never
other
random.
people are
They were
disconnected
survival
from.
mechanisms.
And once an
Every
empath
habit
learns
an
to
empath
trust that
develops
perception,
is usually
instead
a
of
response
apologizing
to
for
emotional overload
they
they've
become almost
experienced for
impossible
years.
to deceive.
And because
One of the
most
biggest
empaths
misconceptions
grow up
about
without
understanding their
is that they are
sensitivity,
endlessly
they
available,
unconsciously
always
create
giving,
routines to protect
always
themselves from
understanding,
emotional chaos,
always forgiving.
That's
And
why
in the
genuine
beginning,
empaths
many empaths
often do
believe
things
this about
other people
themselves
don't
too.
understand.
They think their
They
purpose
leave
is to
crowded
heal
places
everyone,
suddenly,
to carry
they cancel
everyone's
plans
pain.
at the last minute,
To absorb
they need
everyone's
silence
emotional chaos
after
without
social
limits.
interaction.
But
They
eventually,
sit in their car
reality
for 10 minutes
teaches them something
before
painful.
walking into the house.
Not everyone
They
deserves
disappear
access to
from
your
everyone's
energy without
highly aware
explanation.
empaths
To normal
learn
people,
this
this
lesson
looks
the hard
dramatic.
way. Usually
To an
through
empath,
betrayal,
it feels
through
necessary,
relationships where
because
they
what
gave
drains an
emotional
empath
support
isn't
but
physical
received
activity,
emotional
it's emotional
exhaustion
stimulation.
in return.
A
Through
genuine
friendships
empath can
where
spend
they
1
became
hour
therapists
around fake
instead of
energy,
equals.
passive
Through
aggression,
situations
emotional tension,
where their
loud
kindness became
personality, embodies
permission
manipulative
for
behavior
others to
or
take advantage of
negativity
them,
and
and
feel
after
mentally
enough
exhausted
emotional
for the rest of
damage,
the day.
something
Not
changes
because they're
inside
weak,
them,
because
they
their
begin
nervous
protecting
system
their
processes
inner world.
emotional
Not
information
because they become
constantly,
cruel,
even
because
when
they
they don't
finally
want it to.
understand
And over
the
time,
cost
the
of
empath's
unguarded
body
empathy.
begins creating
Most people
protective
think
habits
boundaries are
automatically.
about controlling
Some
others.
empaths
They
avoid
are
phone
not.
calls
Boundaries
because
are about
hearing
protecting
emotional
your
nervous
nervous
system
overwhelms them.
from
Some
unnecessary
stay awake late at
emotional
night
intrusion.
because nighttime
Highly
feels
aware
emotionally
empaths understand
quiet.
this
Some need
deeply
long drives,
because they
music,
feel
nature,
emotional
or
energy
isolation.
intensely.
Because
A toxic
it's the only
environment
time
doesn't
their
just
brain
annoy them.
stops
It affects
absorbing
them
everyone
physically.
else's
Chaos
emotional
drains
noise.
them.
And here's the part
Manipulation
most
drains
people
them.
never realize.
Constant
Many
negativity
empaths
drains
don't even
them.
know why
And
they
if
do
they
these
ignore
things.
this for too
They
long,
just know
their body
certain
eventually
environments make
forces
them
them
feel
to pay attention.
emotionally unsafe.
That's why
So
mature
their nervous
empaths
system
often
starts
become
adapting
selective
before
with who
logic
they
catches
allow
up.
close to
That's
them.
why
They
empaths
stop
often
answering
look
every
calm
message
externally,
immediately
while
they
internally
stop
monitoring
over-explaining
everything around them.
themselves.
They
stop
notice energy
feeling
shifts
guilty for needing
instantly.
solitude
One
because they realize
uncomfortable
peace is
tone
not
change
selfish.
can alter their
Peace
entire
is
emotional
survival.
state.
One of the most
fake
powerful
interactions
moments
can
in an
drain them
empath's
faster
life
than
is
physical
when they
labor.
stop trying
And
to
because
save
of this
people
constant
who
emotional
refuse to
scanning,
save themselves.
empaths create
That
realization
that
restores
changes
emotional
everything.
balance.
They begin
Silence
recognizing the
becomes
difference between
distance
compassion
becomes
and
recovery.
self-destruction.
Solitude
Compassion
becomes
says,
protection.
I care
This is
about
also
your
why
pain.
genuine empaths
Self-destruction
often
says,
struggle
I will
in modern
sacrifice
society.
my mental
The world
health
rewards
to fix your
overstimulation.
Highly
Constant
aware
notifications
empaths
no
longer
longer
confuse
confuse
the
the
two.
two. Constant
And this is
performance,
often when other people
constant
accuse them of
emotional
changing.
noise.
You
But
used to be
empaths
so
heal
nice.
differently.
You used
They
to
need
care
emotional
more.
decompression.
You've become
And when
distant.
they don't get it,
No,
their body
they
starts
became
warning
aware.
them. Burnout,
Aware that
mapped
constant
mental
emotional
exhaustion,
access is dangerous.
anxiety,
Aware that
irritability,
some people
emotional
bond through
numbness.
dysfunction.
The
Aware
nervous
that
system
protecting your
can
peace
only
is
absorb
not
so
weakness.
much before it starts shutting
intelligence.
down.
That's why
Because
some
emotionally aware
empaths
people
suddenly cut people
eventually
off after
understand
tolerating
something
them for
most
years.
humans
People
never
think
learn.
the empath
Your
changed
environment
overnight.
shapes your emotional
No,
state.
the
That
empath
means
finally
every
reached
person you
emotional
allow
capacity
into your life
because
influences
empaths
your
usually
nervous
endure
system,
unhealthy
your thoughts,
situations
your emotional
far longer
stability,
than they
and
should.
even your
They give
identity.
second
Highly aware
chances,
empaths
third
take this
chances,
seriously.
10th
They
chances,
choose calm
hoping
over
people will
chaos,
become emotionally
death
safe.
over
But
performance.
once the empath's
Solitude
nervous system
over fake
decides
connection.
someone is
And
emotionally
strangely,
dangerous,
the more they protect their
connection
energy,
changes
the stronger
permanently.
their
And
empathy
this
becomes.
creates another
Because
strange
exhausted
empath
empathy
habit.
becomes
They
resentment.
disappear quietly.
Protected
No
empathy
revenge
becomes
no
wisdom.
public drama, no
That's why
emotional
mature
performance,
empaths
just
often appear
distance,
quieter
because
than they
mature
used to.
empaths
Less
eventually
reactive,
learn something
less
powerful.
available,
Not every
more
emotional
guarded,
battle
not
because
deserves
their heart
access to your
disappeared,
peace.
because they
And
finally
the
learned their
strongest
sensitivity
empaths
has
stop
value.
trying to explain
And valuable
their
things
survival
require
mechanisms
protection.
to people who
Highly
only
aware
understand
empaths
surface level
don't
behavior
shut people out
because
what
they
looks
hate
strange
humanity
to others
They
is
simply
often
realize
the
that if
only
they
thing
don't protect
keeping
their
the inner
empath
world
emotionally
functional
will
that
consume
long
it.
silence,
Most people think
recovery
power is
that
loud.
isolation.
They think the strongest
protection,
person in
that
the room
sudden disappearance
is the one talking the most,
self-preservation,
reacting
once
the
an
fastest,
empath stops
dominating every
apologizing
conversation
for protecting
but
their
highly
energy,
aware,
their life
empaths
begins to
learn
change
something
completely different.
One of the strangest
Real
things
power
genuine
is emotional
empaths
control.
do is this.
An emotional
They can
control
genuinely love
often
people
looks like silence,
and still
early in
want
life,
complete
many
isolation
empaths
afterward.
explain
To
themselves
most
constantly.
people, that makes
They
no
try
sense
to fix
because society
misunderstandings.
teaches
They
that
try to
connection
calm
creates
conflict.
energy.
They try to
That
make
being
everyone
around
comfortable.
friends,
Why?
family,
Because they
crowds,
feel
or conversations
emotional tension
should make you
intensely.
feel alive.
So when
But
someone is
empaths
upset with
experience
them, they
social
rush to
interaction
repair it.
differently.
When conflict
For them,
appears,
every
they
interaction
overtalk,
is emotional
over-explain,
processing.
over-defend,
Every
but
conversation
eventually
becomes
experience
psychological
changes them.
observation.
They
Every
realize
environment
something painful.
becomes emotional
Not every
data.
misunderstanding
And after enough
is
stimulation,
accidental.
the
Some
empath's
people
nervous
intentionally
system
provoke
reaches
emotional
overload.
reactions.
That's why many
because
empaths
emotional
disappear
reactions
after
create
social events.
control.
Not because they're
Manipulators
angry,
understand
not
this
because
deeply.
they're antisocial.
If they can make you
because
angry,
emotionally they
defensive,
feel full,
emotional,
a
or
normal
unstable,
person hears
they
words.
gain
An
influence
empath hears
over
emotional
your behavior.
tone, suppressed
And highly aware
frustration,
empaths
insecurity,
eventually
sadness,
recognize this
fake
pattern. That's when
enthusiasm,
silence
hidden
becomes
tension,
transformation.
and emotional
They stop
contradiction,
reacting
all at the
instantly.
same
Stop
time.
arguing
Their
with
brain
emotionally
is constantly
immature
scanning
people.
for
Stop
emotional
defending
truth beneath
themselves
behavior
against
and this
false
creates
assumptions
a level of
because
mental
they
exhaustion
understand something
most people never
understand.
realize.
An
The
empath
person
can
who
spend
controls
2
their
hours
emotions
in a
controls
crowded
the
room
interaction
and feel
silence
like they
is
work a
powerful
12-hour
because
shift mentally. Silence
not
forces
because crowds
observation.
are physically
While
tiring,
everyone else
because
is
emotional
reacting emotionally,
exposure
the aware
drains them.
empath
This
is is why
studying
genuine
patterns,
empaths
tone
often need
changes,
silence
body
immediately
language
after being
changes,
around people.
word choices
They need
change,
space where
and the
nobody
quieter they
needs
become,
anything from
the more
them.
people
No
accidentally
conversations,
reveal
no
themselves.
emotional demands.
This is why
no
silence
forced
makes
energy, no
insecure
performance,
people
just
uncomfortable.
silence.
Many humans
Because
use
silence
constant
is where
talking
the
to hide
empath
anxiety,
finally
guilt,
reconnects with
dishonesty,
themselves.
or
Most
emotional
empaths spend
instability.
so much time
Silence
absorbing
removes their
everyone
escape
else's
route,
emotions,
and when that
that
happens,
they
people
slowly
begin
lose
exposing
contact with
their
their
true
own
nature
emotional state.
automatically.
They
The
become
empath
emotional
notices
mirrors
who
for
becomes
everyone
aggressive
around
in
them.
silence,
Happy
who
people
becomes
make
nervous,
them feel lighter,
who tries to
negative
dominate,
people
who
make them feel
desperately
heavy.
seeks validation.
Emotionally chaotic people
Silence
create
reveals
inner
emotional
anxiety
dependency.
inside them.
Highly aware
And
empaths
after
know
enough
this.
interaction,
That's why
the
mature
empath
empaths
no longer knows
feel
which
the need to win
emotions
every
actually
argument.
belong
They
to them.
understand
So
that
isolation
truth
becomes
does not
emotional
require
detox.
constant defense.
This is why some
Immature
empaths
people
love
fight
nighttime.
to protect
The
their
world
ego.
finally becomes
Aware
quiet.
people observe
No emotional
to protect
noise.
their peace.
No social
that
pressure.
difference changes
No constant
everything.
energy.
And over
entering
time,
their nervous
silence
system. Just
becomes
stillness.
more than
And
protection.
in that stillness,
it becomes
the empath
presence.
can
There's
finally
something
breathe
psychologically
mentally.
intense.
But here's where
about
people
a person who remains
misunderstand
calm
them.
while
When
everyone
empaths
else loses
isolate
control.
themselves,
Because
others
calmness
often
creates
assume
uncertainty
rejection.
in
You've
emotionally
changed.
reactive
You
people.
disappeared.
They expect
You never
anger,
reply
they expect
anymore.
panic. They
But what
expect
people call
emotional
withdrawal
chaos is often survival.
But the aware
because
empath
empath gives them
are
nothing,
usually
just
the emotional
observation.
support system
And
for
observation
everyone
is
else.
intimidating.
People vent
because
to
it
them,
feels
cry to
impossible
them,
to manipulate.
unload trauma
This is
onto
why
them,
highly
seek
aware
comfort
empaths
from them,
often
but
appear
very few people
mysterious
ever
as they
ask
grow
the
older,
empath if they're
not because
emotionally
they are
okay,
hiding secrets,
and eventually
because they stop
constantly
giving
carrying
people
unlimited
emotional
weight
access.
without
They
recovery
learn that
creates
privacy
burnout.
protects energy.
So the empath
that
starts
stillness
protecting their
clarity.
space more
That
aggressively,
silence
not out of
prevents
cruelty,
emotional
out of
traps.
necessity.
And
This is
eventually,
also
they
why
discover
mature
one of the
empaths
most
become
dangerous
extremely
truths
selective
about
human
who they
behavior.
spend
People
time
reveal
with. They
themselves
realize every
more
person
through
affects
what they
their
cannot
nervous system
emotionally
differently.
tolerate
Some
than
people
through
create
what they
peace.
say.
Others
person
create
who
emotional
cannot
exhaustion.
tolerate silence
And genuine
usually
empaths
fears reflection.
eventually
The
stop
person who
sacrificing
cannot
their
tolerate
mental
boundaries
stability
usually
just to
benefited
maintain
from your
access
lack
to
of them.
emotionally
Highly
draining
aware
people.
empaths
Because
notice
one of the
these
biggest
things
lessons an
immediately.
empath learns
That's
in
why
life
their silence
this.
is misunderstood.
Not everyone
People
deserves
think
your
they are
emotional
cold,
availability.
detached, arrogant.
That lesson
But in
changes
reality,
everything.
they are simply
the
aware.
empath stops
Aware
forcing
that not
interaction,
every situation
stops
deserves a
over-explaining
reaction.
their need
Because
for
once
space,
an empath
stops
masters
feeling
silence,
guilty
their
for protecting
emotions
their peace,
stop becoming
because they finally
weapons other
understand
people can
something
use
powerful.
against them.
Highly
Isolation
aware
is not
empaths
weakness
are
for an
not
empath.
usually
It
created
is
through
recovery.
comfort.
It is
They are
recalibration.
created through
It
pain.
is emotional
Not the kind of
survival
pain
in a
people
world
easily
that
notice.
constantly
Invisible
demands
pain,
access to their
emotional
energy.
disappointment,
And once an
betrayal,
empath learns to
manipulation,
protect their solitude,
abandonment,
their
repeated
entire
exposure
nervous
to people
system
who look
begins
safe
to heal.
but weren't.
One of
And
the
over
most
time,
unsettling
this pain
things
changes
about
the
genuine
empath's
empaths
nervous
is
system.
this.
They
At
notice
first,
things nobody
emotional
else
pain
sees,
weakens
not
them.
because they're
They
psychic,
overthink everything,
because they pay
trust
attention
the
to
wrong
emotional
people,
details
blame
most
themselves
people ignore.
for other people's
A normal
behavior.
person
They
listens to
wonder
words.
why they feel
An
so
empath
deeply
studies
while
pauses.
everyone else
Tone
seems
changes,
emotionally
eye movement,
disconnected.
forced smiles,
But eventually,
micro-expressions,
something begins to
energy
happen,
shifts,
and
the
within
pain
seconds,
sharpens them.
they
because
often know when
suffering
something
forces
feels
awareness,
wrong.
even if
A
they
person
can't
who has
logically
never been
explain
betrayed
it yet.
rarely
That's why
studies
genuine
human
empaths
behavior
constantly
deeply. A
confuse
person who has
people
never
because they
experienced
react to
manipulation
emotional
usually
truth
misses emotional
before
warning
visible
signs.
evidence appears.
But empaths
They'll
who
say,
survive
"Something
repeated
feels
emotional
off about
wounds
that
begin
person,"
noticing
and
patterns
everyone
most
thinks
people
they're
ignore.
overthinking.
They notice
Then weeks
fake
later,
kindness,
the mask
strategic
falls off,
affection,
and the
conditional
empath was
loyalty,
right the entire
performative
time.
empathy.
This happens
Why?
because
Because
empaths
pain trained their
unconsciously
perception.
analyze human
Every
behavior at a
heartbreak
deeper
taught them
level
something.
than most
Every
people
disappointment
realize.
revealed
Their nervous
another
system
layer of
constantly
human
scans
behavior,
for emotional
and slowly,
congruence.
they
In
stop
simple
seeing
terms,
people
do
only
the
for
words
who they
match the
pretend to
energy?
be. They
If
begin
someone says,
seeing
"I'm fine,"
motivation.
while their voice
that
tightens,
transformation
eyes
is
avoid
powerful
contact,
because
and facial
immature
tension
empathy
increases.
says,
Everyone
the
has
empath
good
notices
intentions.
immediately.
Aware
Most people
empathy
miss it.
says,
The empath feels
intentions
it.
reveal
And over
themselves
time,
through patterns.
this creates
highly
an
aware
almost frightening
empaths
level
become
of
difficult
intuition,
to deceive because
not magical
their pain created
intuition,
emotional
recognition.
intelligence.
Years
Not
of emotional
textbook
observation
intelligence
sharpen
power
the
empath's
empath's
ability
ability
to
the
detect
ability to
hidden
sense
emotional
emotional
states
inconsistency
faster than conscious
before
logic
logical
can
proof
process
appears.
them.
That's
And
why why many
ability
empaths
often
become
feels
uncomfortable
isolating
around fake
because the
people
empath
instantly.
notices
Their
things
body
other people
reacts
dismiss.
before their brain
They sense
fully
emotional
explains
danger
why.
early.
Sudden
They feel
anxiety,
manipulation
mental
before
exhaustion,
others recognize it.
recklessness.
They detect
tension in the
dishonesty
chest
in small
because the
behavioral
empath's
shifts.
nervous
Most
system
humans
already
overlook
detected,
emotional
and for years they may
inconsistency.
doubt themselves.
And here's the
because
dangerous
they can't
part.
always
Empaths
explain
often
what they
ignore
feel
their intuition,
logically,
but
to
life
avoid
keeps
conflict.
confirming
They sense
their
manipulation
instinct.
early
And
they
again,
feel dishonesty
and again,
early. They
until
notice
eventually
emotional
they
instability stop
early.
apologizing
But because
for their awareness.
empaths
This is when the
naturally try to
empath
understand
changes
people
permanently.
they often
Instead
talk
of
themselves
asking,
out of their
why
own
does this always
instincts.
happen
They
to
give
me?
endless
They begin
chances.
asking. They
What is this
rationalize
teaching
toxic
me
behavior
about people?
They hope
That question
emotional
transforms
inconsistency
suffering into
will eventually
perception,
disappear,
and suddenly
until
pain stops
reality
being
finally
meaningless.
proves their
It
intuition
becomes
was
training.
correct from the
Highly
beginning.
aware
This is
empaths
why
eventually
mature
realize
empaths
that
become
emotional
highly
wounds
protective
can either
of their
destroy
instincts
awareness or
because
deepen it.
experience
Some people
teaches them
become
something
bitter
painful.
after betrayal.
The body notices
Empaths
danger
often
before the
become
mind
observant
accepts
because
it, and
pain
genuine
forces them
empaths
to understand
live with this
emotional
constantly.
survival.
They walk
They
into
learn how
rooms and
manipulation
instantly feel tension,
works,
how
nobody
emotional
mentions,
projection works.
They
how
sense relationship
insecure
problems
people
before
create
couples
chaos
admit
to
them.
avoid
They
accountability.
notice hidden
And once they
resentment
understand these
behind
patterns,
fake
they stop
politeness.
personalizing
They detect
everything.
emotional
That's
exhaustion
the real
behind
evolution.
forced
The
confidence.
empath
And
finally
after years of
understands
seeing what
not
others
everyone
miss,
who hurts you
empaths
hates you.
often
Some
become
people simply
emotionally
lack
cautious
emotional
people,
awareness
not because they
themselves.
hate humans,
And that realization
because they've
creates
seen
emotional
how convincing
detachment,
emotional
not
masks
coldness,
can
but
be.
clarity.
This also
The highly
explains
aware
why
empaths no
struggle
longer
with
chases closure
superficial
from
relationships.
emotionally unsafe
Small
people.
talk drains
They
them.
observe,
Fake
learn,
enthusiasm
adjust,
irritates
because
them.
they understand
Emotionally
something
disconnected
most
conversations
humans
feel
avoid
exhausting.
admitting.
Because
Pain
empaths
is one of the
crave
greatest
emotional
psychological teachers
authenticity
on
more
earth.
than social
The difference
performance.
is that most
They
people
want truth,
let pain
realness,
harden them.
congruence,
Highly aware
and when they
empaths
don't
let pain
feel it,
educate